Welcome Dr. Kaiser and classmates to Group 3's presentation on Barnes & Noble versus Amazon. Will technology take over again? The team members in Group 3 are William Greats, Nathan Pigza, Tina Preston, Camille Rashawn, Justin St. Jacques, and Barakat Titalope. Books have been a staple of education, leisure, and fun for hundreds of years. Before television, movies, and radio, books were a way to escape the world and travel to a new one. It's hard to believe that this book-selling and publishing giant began as a small book business in 1873 in the home of Charles M. Barnes. Over the next 112 years, Barnes & Noble grew to be a leading book retailer at the forefront of their industry. Fast forward from 1873 to 1994, when Amazon was founded in Seattle, Washington. Amazon originally began as a book selling and buying business, but eventually evolved into a website where you can buy a variety of goods in all categories. Although they are currently experiencing financial difficulty, Barnes & Noble still remains the world's largest bookstore, operating 632 retail bookstores and 777 college bookstores, while Amazon sits atop as the largest online retailer in the United States. In the electronic book department, Amazon is also the creator of the Kindle, a device that users can download books onto. With the Kindle, users can fit hundreds of books in the palm of their hand, a convenience which further put a damper on the paperback book industry. In response, Barnes & Noble introduced the Nook. Although the capabilities have been similar, unfortunately sales did not take off as they had hoped.
Noble will continue to downsize. The company says it will close about 20 stores a year over the next decade. There are currently about 700 in the U.S. The nation's largest bookstore has been facing tough competition from online retailers and discounters. That's your Money.
And technological advances have not been kind to bookstores. The rising popularity of e-readers and online bookstores have made it hard for traditional brick-and-mortar stores to survive. Now, one of the last major bookstores in the U.S. is struggling to stay in business. Karina Huber reports.
Barnes & Noble, America's biggest bookstore, was once seen as a Goliath, the giant responsible for the demise of numerous independent bookstores. But in a twist of fate, the giant is now fighting for its own survival. The new Goliath? Amazon.
I think Amazon, the pricing power that they have over Barnes & Noble is predominantly a larger threat.
A threat that has eaten into sales at its 677 stores across the United States. Barnes & Noble recently announced it would shutter a third of them in the next decade. In 2011, its rival Borders went out of business, closing all of its stores. In a bid to turn a new page in a changing technological environment, Barnes & Noble bet heavily on its e-reader, the Nook, released in 2009. It got rave reviews, but the Nook hasn't been a runaway success.
The fact that they were a little bit slow to the game put them behind the 8 ball, and it's been kind of catch up ever since.
Barnes & Noble revenues from the Nook and related digital media fell 26% in the quarter that ended January 26th. Sales of the iPad and Amazon's Kindle were strong in the same period, indicating the drop in demand was specific to the Nook, not an industry-wide trend. This has raised questions about Barnes & Noble's ability to survive.
The longer-term industry drivers are all pretty significantly negative. That said, Barnes & Noble has significant investors that are trying to keep it alive.
Those investors include Microsoft and publishers who have pumped millions of dollars into the Nook. And the founder of the company said he wants to buy the brick-and-mortar outlets just to keep them afloat. It seems that when it comes to books, there are those who are not willing to close the chapter on an era they liked. Karina Huber, CCTV, New York.
Let's take a look at Barnes & Noble's current mission statement obtained from their website. To operate the best omni-channel specialty retail business in America, helping both our customers and booksellers reach their aspirations while being a credit to the communities we serve. For the evaluation of Barnes & Noble's mission statement, Group 3 utilized the table provided by David on page 46, which dictates characteristics of an effective mission statement. These characteristics include being broad in scope and not including monetary amounts, numbers, percentages, ratios, or objectives, being fewer than 150 words in length, being inspiring, identifying the utility of a firm's products, revealing that the firm is socially responsible, revealing that the firm is environmentally responsible, includes components related to stakeholders, it must be reconciliatory, and it should be enduring. For the first and second characteristic, broad in scope and word length, our team found that the current mission statement met this criteria. For the third characteristic of being inspiring, we found this to be a highly subjective characteristic, but felt that Barnes & Noble met this criteria as well. For the fourth characteristic, which is identifying their product, we felt that this mission statement definitely announces that they are primarily a bookseller and will strive to be the best at it. For the fifth and sixth characteristic, being socially and environmentally responsible. Although Barnes & Noble does not explicitly state anything about being environmentally responsible, they do state that they are striving to be a credit to the communities they serve. And for the remaining 7th, 8th, and 9th characteristics, we feel that Barnes & Noble met this criteria. Although Barnes & Noble met the 9 criteria we evaluated, Group 3 feels that the company should be proactive by making an addition to their mission statement that addresses the growing market for ebooks and buying and selling books online. Here is a brief look at Barnes & Noble today. Their partnership with Starbucks and their share of the college bookstore marketplace are their greatest strengths, as this looks to keep them relevant in the retail landscape. Utilizing their brand recognition via these real estate locations aims to keep them relevant with the new generation of readers. Unfortunately, they have chosen to compete against Amazon's initial business of online book retail. Amazon and Apple have also exploited the Barnes & Noble weaknesses of lagging web design and service, as well as the Nook e-reader having failed to reach its technological and sales application potential. Due to the fact that the Nook is a quality item not yet fully exploited, it presents an opportunity for growth and transition within the Barnes & Noble structure. Coupled with the ability to expand their college bookstore footprints across the country, Barnes & Noble has the unique chance to have direct access to 20 million college students. All retailers face threats from Amazon, but Barnes & Noble finds themselves as nearly the last of Amazon's core competitors and struggling mightily to maintain margins with varying brick-and-mortar costs and risks. E-reader web applications, electronic readers themselves, and technology manufacturers offer varying threats to multiple facets of Barnes & Noble's business model. Here are a few strategic ways Barnes & Noble can move forward. With their brand popularity secure, Barnes & Noble can work to exploit this, as they have the ability to reach further into the college market. Having the ability to create brand loyalty with new college students annually, who are nearly forced to buy things from them, it presents a very unique opportunity within this market and demographic. Maximizing contact, reliance with service and support for these students could be just the opportunity needed to create a long-standing relationship for and with college students. If anything, it will secure more purchases from these students during their tenure on campus and minimize the competitors' reach on campus. Although the Nook is not the top seller in the e-reader world, it appears to be woefully underexploited. Barnes & Noble needs to integrate and utilize their Nook reader line directly into their retail business. Competing against the Kindle, Fire, or iPad directly are going to be unsuccessful simply due to those products' current market share and the capital behind their parent firms. Incorporating the Nook into a strategy involving the college campus could be the best way ahead, as it can help with product penetration and not just brand loyalty to millions of college students annually. Maximizing the current partnership with Starbucks offers a third strategic option. This long-standing partnership has paid dividends for both sides and needs to be leveraged further by both entities. Creating minimal retail footprints within a Starbucks location could offer an inexpensive way for Barnes & Noble to reach more retail customers. A wall of bestsellers, which has been cultivated and cataloged for specific areas and demographics, could be a great way to create impulse purchases. With very limited space available in the Starbucks locations, a just-in-time delivery method could be used to whisk purchases from the local Barnes & Noble to the purchaser's home. Pick out your book in the morning and it's waiting on your doorstep when you get home from work. As said by Theodore Roosevelt, the more you know of your past, the better you are prepared for the future. To better prepare Barnes & Noble for a successful future, Group 3 used the Grand Strategy Matrix to evaluate Barnes & Noble's strategic direction. The Grand Strategy Matrix is based on 4 strategic quadrants that are based on the rate of growth within a company's industry and the strength of their competitive position. After our evaluation, Group 3 feels that Barnes & Noble is considered to be in Quadrant 2. Barnes & Noble did experience some market growth in 2016 when printed books rose by 7%, with an increase of 16% in children's book sales within the same period. As great as that was, Barnes & Noble is still in a weak competitive standing compared to Amazon and other e-book stores. Based on our analysis, Group 3 feels that the weakness-threat strategy would be the best option for Barnes & Noble. On the next slide, we'll outline the 5-prong approach that we recommend for Barnes & Noble. The first of the 5-prong approach that Group 3 suggests is for Barnes & Noble to merge with a company like Peach Pit, which is a company used by creative professionals and specializes in book and educational materials. Next, they should up their selection of children's books, since there is a growing industry and it's hard to implement pop-ups and other interactive children's books on the Amazon Kindle. By pairing these together, they will offer a niche that will be hard for other companies to fill, thus increasing Barnes & Noble's market share. Thirdly, Barnes & Noble can open up small boutique or kiosk-style bookstores. They can expand their partnership with Starbucks and create new partnerships with other cafes and eateries. This will increase customers' impulse sales for a good read while eating. Sales like these lead to our next prong of loyalty programs. These programs can be used in collaboration with Starbucks to make book buying more enticing to customers and rewards them as well. Lastly, Barnes & Noble will need to improve their ship-from-store program in both main stores and these new kiosks. One of the main advantages Amazon has over Barnes & Noble is its Prime program, which offers 2-day free shipping and in some cases next-day delivery. If Barnes & Noble were to match this and keep its customers from always having to physically come to their stores, this would also go a long way towards increasing their market share. The first way we can measure the success of the plan is with time test surveys. Barnes & Noble will have a survey link on each receipt it hands out to customers. This survey will contain questions regarding customers' experiences ranging from least to greatest. Questions on what could be done better, and what the customers would like to see in their services to improve the customer experience. One issue that we found with surveys, especially with external customer ones, is that they typically only yield a 10 to 15% response rate. Of the 10 to 15% that do respond, we can only hope that they are coming from customers that care about the business and want it to succeed, and therefore will give the best feedback and ideas. To entice more people to fill out the survey, Barnes & Noble can also offer a 25% discount on their next purchase. The second way we can measure the company's performance is by setting quarterly and annual objectives and the company's return to shareholders. Annual objectives are desired milestones an organization needs to achieve to ensure successful strategy implementation. Each quarter and year, Barnes & Noble's leadership team will set performance goals, and each quarter that goal is met, they can offer employee bonuses. If the company fails to meet the goal, they can revisit and tweak this strategy. Group 3 believes this strategy will put Barnes & Noble in a better position to compete with companies such as Amazon. Thank you, class, for watching our presentation of Barnes & Noble, and we look forward to your feedback.